The steel coffin always smells the same. Hot oil, sweat, and something else. The stale breath of fear. It's a small world in here, a world of 4 men packed so tight you can feel your comrade's heart beat against your shoulder. My world is even smaller, a narrow slit of vibrating earth, 2 levers and 3 pedals. I am Dragan Petrović, and this is my home now. An Italian M13 tank, captured, repaired, and repainted with our red star. A thin-skinned beast, but a beast nonetheless. Before the war, my hands knew the feel of a different kind of steel. The smooth, worn metal of a wrench, the precise gears of a Zastava truck engine. In my father's workshop in Bihać, I could diagnose an engine's ailment just by its cough, its sputter. I was a mechanic, a creator, a mender. Now I am the driver of a machine made for breaking things and people. The first Proletarian is moving on Jajce, November 1943. The air is cold enough to bite, but inside the tank it's a furnace. The transmission winds its constant, high-pitched song of protest. I feel every jolt, every lurch of the tracks through the floor plate. My commander, Jovan, his voice a low rumble through the speaking tube, guides us. To my right, Miloš feeds the belt into the machine gun, quiet, methodical. Behind me in the turret, Stefan swings the 47mm cannon, searching for targets. They are good men. They trust me to get them there. I trust them to protect this fragile metal shell that is both our weapon and our tomb. I listen to the engine. It's running rough, a misfire in the 3rd cylinder. I can feel it, a slight tremor out of rhythm with the rest of the machine's violent symphony. I nurse the throttle, feeding it fuel like a mother bird feeding a chick. This tank is a Frankenstein, pieced together from 3 different wrecks. I know every bolt, every weld. I know the fuel line I scavenged from a German Opel Blitz, the radiator fan I hammered back into shape myself. Others see a weapon. I see a dozen things waiting to fail. We halt in a pine forest on the ridge overlooking the town. The order comes to wait for the signal. The silence when I cut the engine is deafening. My ears ring. The sudden cold seeps through the steel. Miloš lights a cigarette, the flare of the match lighting his young, grim face. The sharp, clean scent of the pine needles outside mixes with the smoke, and that's when the other smell comes back to me, the memory. It's not pine wood I smell, it's the thick, greasy smoke of our home burning, the smoke of pine beams of my mother's loom, of my father's tools, all turning to ash. Bihać, 1941. The Ustaše came at dawn. They weren't soldiers, not really. They were our neighbors, men we'd known our whole lives, now wearing black uniforms with a death's head emblem. Their faces were twisted with a kind of ecstatic hatred I'd never seen before. They dragged people from their homes. The screams, they weren't the screams of soldiers in battle. They were the screams of families. I saw it from the edge of the woods. I was 16, trying to fix a water pump. I saw them throw the torch onto our roof. I remember the impossible heat on my face, even from 100 meters away. I found my little sister, Anna, hiding in the barn. I grabbed her hand, so small and cold in mine, and we ran. We just ran. I didn't look back. I couldn't. The image of our home collapsing in a shower of sparks was already burned behind my eyes, right next to the Ustaše emblem on their caps. That was the day the mechanic in me died, and something else, something harder and colder, was forged in his place. Dragan, wake up. Jovan's voice snaps me back to the cold steel of the present, the signal. A green flare arcs over the valley. I take a deep, shaky breath. My hands are slick on the levers. I offer a silent prayer not to God, I lost him in the fire, but to the engine. Please, hold together. I turn the crank. The engine sputters, catches, and roars to life, filling our small world with noise and fury. I push the lever, and we lurch forward, crashing through the undergrowth and onto the muddy track leading down to Jajce. The battle begins. My view is a sliver of chaos. Muzzle flashes from the windows of houses. Partisans, our comrades, running low, using craters for cover. The crackle of rifle fire is a constant static, punctuated by the heavy thud of our cannon firing over my head. My world shrinks to the mud, the ruts, the next 10 meters of ground. Jovan is my eyes. Machine gun, 2nd story on the left. Dragan, push through that wall. I don't question. I aim our iron snout at the brick wall of a small shop and push the throttle to the floor. The impact is bone-jarring. Dust and plaster fill the air. For a moment, we are blind. Then we are through, sitting in what used to be someone's livelihood. The machine gun is silent. We keep moving. The fear is a living thing now. It's a cold knot in my stomach. Every metallic ping against our hull makes me flinch. I imagine a Panzerfaust, the hollow charge melting through our thin armor. I imagine the fire, the smell of burning fuel and flesh. My hands tighten on the levers. I can't die in a fire. Not like that. Not trapped in a box. We are nearing the central bridge. It's a key objective. A German anti-tank gun is dug in on the other side. We see the flash before we hear the sound. A deafening, violent clang. The entire tank rings like a bell, and the world goes white and sideways. My head smashes against the viewport. A high-pitched whine fills my ears. The tank slews to a stop, the engine screaming, and then choking with a final, shuddering cough. Silence, the silence is worse than the noise. It's the silence of death. Stefan, Miloš, Javan's voice is strained. Grunts of confirmation, we're alive, but we are dead in the water. A sitting duck, and then the smell, it's not smoke. It's the sharp, sickeningly sweet smell of diesel fuel. It's pooling on the floor plate, cold against my boots. Another round pings off the turret. They're finding our range. My heart is a frantic bird beating against my ribs. This is it. The oven, my deepest fear made real. The fuel line is hit. I shout, my voice a stranger's. Panic is a hot wire in my veins, but the mechanic takes over. My hands, they know what to do. They move with a certainty my mind doesn't possess. Kill the battery. A spark will turn us into a torch. Javan cuts the power. We are plunged into near-total darkness, the only light coming from the single shell hole in our side. Outside, the battle rages. Bullets thud against our hide. Inside, it is just me, the dark, the rising fumes, and a broken machine. I work by feel. My fingers, stained with a lifetime of grease, trace the pipes in the engine compartment. Hot metal burns my knuckles. The fuel is slick and cold. There, the sheared copper pipe. It's a clean break. I have no parts, no tools, but a single wrench and a roll of friction tape I always keep tucked in my jacket. My hands are shaking, but they work. I force the two ends of the pipe together as best I can. It's not a real fix, it's a prayer. I wrap the tape around the break, pulling it so tight my fingers ache layer after layer, a black bandage on a mortal wound. Every second feels like a lifetime. Another shell hits, this one farther away. They think we're knocked out. Done, I whisper, my throat raw. Try it, quick. Javan flips the switch. I hit the starter. The engine turns once, twice. It catches with a wet, gurgling cough, then a roar of defiance. It's messy, it's leaking, but it's alive. I jam the tank into gear, and we lurch backwards, away from the gun's sightline, trailing a black cloud of smoke and a rainbow slick of diesel. We took Jajce that day. I don't remember the victory. I remember sitting beside the tank that night, the engine block still warm against my back. My hands were black, caked with grease and dried blood from my knuckles. I stared at them in the moonlight. These were not the hands of a soldier. They were the hands of a mechanic. The hands that once held my sisters as we ran from one fire. Now they keep this iron beast alive to fight another. I don't fight for slogans on a banner. I fight for a future where a boy can be a mechanic without having to learn the anatomy of a tank. I fight for Yugoslavia, where no one ever again has to smell their own home burning. I look at my hands and I know that as long as they can hold a wrench, as long as they can coax one more breath from a dying engine, my war is not over. These memories are heavy, but they must be shared. Subscribe to ensure these stories are never forgotten.